All right, so today we're going to talk about the kingdom of God. So, how many kingdoms are you in charge of?
Three.
Three.
All right, hand off. What?
All right.
Oh.
All right, so,
What you call
now currently there are 40 or so monarchies in existence in the world today, where they're ruled by the kings and queens. So, most of the time you say none, but, don't be so sure that, you're not in charge of a kingdom. So, in its truest form, a kingdom is a place where a person's will is done. If a man's in charge of a country, his will is carried out within those borders. If you have a businesswoman who's in charge of a business, that's her kingdom. If you have, someone who tells what to happen on an estate, where a piece of property, and they manage that, that's their kingdom because their will's done. And you probably even have some say in your room, right? What's in your room, what goes on the walls in your room. So in essence, you have a little tiny kingdom in your room. In short, wherever your will is carried out is your kingdom. So as we think about the kingdom of God, we kind of think of, what is God's kingdom? Let me ask that. What is God's kingdom? Heaven, earth. His will is carried out both in heaven and on earth. So, think about that. God's kingdom exists wherever his will is carried out. That's why in the model prayer that Jesus gave in the Lord's Prayer, he says, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, as we find that in Matthew 6, verse 10. As we look at this, we'll understand a greater understanding of what it means to be the kingdom of God. So, many people today are confused about the kingdom of God. Y'all may not have ever thought about it. Does God's kingdom exist now? Or will it exist in the future when he comes back to earth? The people in Jesus' day had that same question. So we all have that same question. When is the kingdom? Or what is God's kingdom? Where's God's kingdom at? So we're going to read in Luke 17, verse 20 to 30, then 33 to 35. Being asked by the Pharisees when the kingdom of God will come, he answered them, the kingdom of God is not coming with something observable. No one will say, look here or there. First you see the kingdom of God, for you see the kingdom of God is among you. Then he told his disciples, the days are coming when you will long to see the days of the Son of Man, but you won't see it. They will say to you, look here, look there, or look here. Don't follow or run after them. For as lightning flashes from horizon to horizon and lights up the sky, so the Son of Man will be in his day. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected by this generation. Just as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be in the days of the Son of Man. People went on eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day Noah boarded the ark, and the floods came and destroyed them all. It will be the same as it was in the days of Lot. People were eating, drinking, buying, selling, planting, building, but on the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be like that on the day the Son of Man is revealed. Whosoever tries to make his life secure will lose it, and whoever loses his life will preserve it. I tell you, on that night, two will be in one bed, one will be taken, and the other will be left. Two women will be grinding grain together, one will be taken, and one will be left. So, as we look at this, we're kind of going to look at this passage in depth. We're going to see that God's kingdom is now and not yet. So that's kind of a hard concept for us to say. And that's kind of the theme as we've kind of seen this. A lot of things with God are hard for us to explain, hard for us to understand, because we don't think like God. So yes, God's kingdom is now, and it's yet to come. It's not yet. Jesus interaction with the Pharisees in this passage. For once, they asked him a straightforward question. The Pharisees would always try to trick Jesus into asking him and getting him to go against something the Bible said. But in here, they pretty much ask him a straightforward question. They say, when is the kingdom of God yet? When will the kingdom of God come? When will that come? And it seems that, he said, the kingdom of God is among you. Yet when we look down the other verses, we see that, the kingdom of God will be what it will be like when the kingdom of God comes in full. So we're kind of in the process of getting to the full kingdom. So yes, the answer is both not now and not yet. As we've seen before, one of the core messages of the Bible, it talks about sin and how that sin has alienated us from God and how that we're turned away from God and it's corrupted that relationship. Sin always goes against God's will. God gave us a free will to be able to choose to sin. He could have made us robots that, always do His will and always do what He wants, but, that's not really, how God wanted it. He wanted us to have a free will. He wanted us to choose to follow Him, to choose to love Him. And so because of our sinfulness, we reject God at times and His will. And so, God's kingdom exists, like I said, wherever His will is carried out. Sin doesn't remove us from the kingdom. Sin doesn't take away our salvation. We all sin. Everyone sins on a daily basis. Some people on an hourly basis. Some people every minute. So, as we go through that, we see that. So, God was carrying out His plan to restore that relationship. And how did He restore that relationship? With Jesus dying on the cross. With Jesus dying on the cross. So, we see that here. So, we're welcomed back to His kingdom with open arms. As we look about it, the reason He said it's among you is because the people as time has submitted to God's will. People, submit to God's will when they do what He wants to do. And so, sometimes we buck against that, and that's whenever we sin. So then we see that, we live as Christians as part of the kingdom of God. We are part of God's kingdom. We are part of His plan. He wants us there. He wants us to enjoy that with Him. We look at we read these stories in here, and we look at Noah and Lot, and we look at what was going on during those times. In both stories, the majority of the people were only concerned with what was going on in their lives, the worldly pleasures, the worldly things that were going on. They weren't focused on eternal things. And so that's why we see that, in here it mentions what? Their needs and desires. They were eating, drinking, marrying, buying, selling, planting, building, and so on. Are those negative activities? Are those things we shouldn't do? No. Right? Those are things we do every day, right? We got to buy stuff. We may sell something. We marry, with all that stuff. We eat, we drink. But, that shouldn't be our sole focus. Our focus should be on learning about God and being part of God's kingdom to come. And by what these people were doing, by focusing on these earthly things, they were ignoring God's will in the process. God wanted them to worry about these other things, not just be so focused on these things they forget about God and forget about worldly things. Luke 17:33 is the key, and we read that a minute ago. We'll read it again. Whoever tries to make his life secure will lose it, and whoever loses his life will preserve it. The only way for us to move forward in the kingdom is for us to willingly surrender to God, to wholly surrender to God, and then let Him have control of our lives. To gain what is eternal, we must give up on what's temporary. So, how hard is it for y'all to give control of something to someone else?
What is it?
Anything. Like, if you have control of something, do you like giving it something to someone else?
Depends on what it is.
Okay. Do you like it when your mom controls how much video games you can play?
Not really.
So see? You don't like that. We don't like for people to control things. That's why it's hard for us as Christians. I don't like being a passenger in a car.
Neither does my mom.
Yeah. I about to do this.
This is what she does. She tries to figure out.
I about to do the same thing. I just don't like being a passenger in a car because I don't have control. Not that you ever fully have control in the car anyways, because everyone else out there, but at least you have somewhat control. So, we don't like to give control of our lives over to anything. A Christian is a person who turns to Jesus and says, everything in my life is negotiable. Everything can go away. I don't need anything else but you. And so that's what we means to be a citizen of God's kingdom, is that we turn everything, trust in God, turn to Him for guidance, and then He'll direct our path. You know, one of my favorite verses is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, He will direct your path. That direct your path means that, literally means He will make your path straight. So it's going to be like, instead of being on a curvy road, you're going to be on a straight road where you can see to know what's coming up. And that's what happens when we trust in God. He knows what He's doing, and He's there for us no matter what we do.